guy comes on, he starts talking, he starts giving the whole thing. Information was powerful. He was talking about financial stuff, which was great. He started talking about stocks and bonds, which again, he was making great points. Nothing that he said was invalid. And I can see my wife was starting to get the spirit. I can see she's like, what's going on? I told you we're not buying nothing. The guy, as if the guy, I had a microphone on me, because he goes, oh, well, you may be here with your spouse, and your spouse might be telling you don't buy anything. Don't listen to that. This is your opportunity. He got me, because at that point I was like, all right, you know what? Go up there and buy it. And let me explain the reason why I told her we wasn't going to buy anything, because I knew where her mentality was, and I knew where mine was. When you sit there and they're telling you these things, that's why I have to be careful with just going into a room and they feeding you all this information. Of course, sounds great. Yes, I'm motivated and ready to go. I paid $300 for that workshop and seminar. Ironically, I was cleaning out a closet in my house 2 weeks ago, and the whole package is still there.
I bought it for
not touched. We never went. You had to call in, work for the work, and I knew that was going to happen. Not because it wasn't good, because we weren't ready for it. So when that information is coming to you, it's going to sound good. But if you're not ready for it, and Marky made the point before we started, other groups of people are groomed for that from birth. So when that information is coming to them, it automatically sticks. For us, there's other steps that we have to take first to prepare. We have to first prepare ourselves to understand that we can make money. This sounds trivial to other people, but I'm telling you, I come from a working family, but there's still a certain ceiling for it. My ceiling is like, son, they said that in the video, go get a job, you're gonna make a decent amount of money, but I don't understand the ceiling of there's no cap. Nobody's gonna tell me I can make $100,000. I wanna make $500,000. So do I really understand that yet? My goal is to get there. I will get there, but I don't have that unequivocally.
I think I can come two stories from that. One, like I said, our community don't have information. My mother was a stockbroker manager, so she was like one of the first black women to actually ring the bell in the stock market. So I worked for her. Company. Well, not she didn't own the company, but was stock exchange when I was about 16. And I didn't know what I was dealing with. But what my job was data entry. So I was handling stocks and bonds. One bond I could look at, it would literally say $5 billion. Right. I was too young to realize that actual piece of paper was worth $5 billion, and I would just put it in the computer, what company it was, and then it would go into a safe. And there was tons of these certificates. Now everything is paperless. So I was exposed to it at an early age, but did not. I look back and that was real money, value worth, and probably why, they hired young kids out of school, because you don't understand. We don't understand. There was no threat. I mean, it was cameras like everywhere. I mean, you couldn't carry a purse in, you couldn't carry a wallet in. You walked in, you put everything, you checked everything at the door, nothing in your pockets, and you went to work. I didn't understand that. My hindsight is 20/20, but to say that about our community, I think where we're missing out is that we don't understand the stock market. And it's unfortunate because not only a lot of adults don't, but our children don't. Of course. And then when we get involved in these jobs, they offer us these 401ks and all this. But if you look at your 401k, a friend of mine who is Jewish said to me, never invest your money in a company that you've never heard of. So in the 401ks, if you look at your 401k at work, you see all this Vanguard, but these are not companies. A company would be like Amazon. A company would be like Nike. A company would be, that's what you would invest your money in. Something like that at McDonald's. What our corporations are doing, they're investing our money in where it's not going anywhere, where they're just using it to recycle the money. Meanwhile, people with wealth are investing their money in corporations that are making true money. So we think a lot of times, because we have the lack of knowledge, that we're investing because we got a 401k, but the money's just, it's not growing. So if I'm going to take my investment and I'm going to invest in Facebook, or I'm going to invest in Amazon, or I'm going to invest in Walmart. So our corporations are not doing that with workers. And that's the knowledge that we don't know in our community. And that's what we need to learn,
Absolutely.
and what our kids should be learning. And that's the cycle that has to be broken.
Absolutely.
You know, you guys are hitting it right on the button, and and you're exactly right, both of you. So I'm not even going to say anything, elaborate on what you're saying. But what I'm going to say is this: when you're talking about the stocks, it brings me back to a time when I first had my first child, and at the time, I needed money. So what happened was I went for a job in stockbroking. And
what price that company I was working for?
And what was so funny is this, I was sponsored.
Mm-hmm.
I passed the test with flying colors. I said, Mr. Jackson, this is your job. And I says, okay, so how much am I going to make? $275 per week. Oh, I can't do that. I have a home. I have to take care of my wife, my son. And at that time, I just couldn't do it. I didn't realize what type of opportunity that was for me.
Commission and everything.
Wow.
I did not realize that because I needed the money right now.
Wow.
Right.
I didn't think about what could happen in the future
Right.
with that if I would have just stayed.
Wow.
So I didn't take the job. Went and got a regular 9 to 5. I guess you can call it a regular 9 to 5.
Right.
Just going back to what you were saying, just thinking back like, wow. And I had the gift of gab back then. I knew
Right.
I would have did something. But that's because we want that money right now.
We don't understand that.
We don't invest in our kids.
Yes.
And I was talking to a friend a while ago, and he says to me, he says, well, how much life insurance do you have? And, he didn't say for me specifically. He says, the average person has about $50,000 to $40,000 in life insurance. Let's say that. And say you got 5 kids. Is $50,000 of life insurance going to be, how are you going to split that between $10,000 between each kid? He says the most that a person should have in life insurance should be at least $1 million.
Exactly.
But most of the time, we don't want to pay that money into our insurance because of the fact that we don't want to put that. That's going to be taken out of money, our pockets right now. But we're not thinking about our kids. You think about you get a $1 million life insurance policy, pass it on to your kids. Your kids can go buy a house. Well, you get a house, that's real estate. Real estate, you make money. You have something to bequeath to your kids. We figure at this point that, listen, an extra $50 out of our pocket a month is going to kill us. But we're not thinking in terms of what's going to happen to our kids down the line.
Right.
What are we going to live? What are we going to give our kids down the line? In the Bible it says, a good man leaveth riches for their kids, right? In the Bible. So I think that's where we fall short. We want those Nike sneakers, we want that BMW, we want that Lexus, we want that gold, that stuff, not realizing that money right there, if we put it away in a good life insurance, invest it, that's leaving money for our kids, to leave a name for the Jackson family, a legacy,
Yes, sir.
or whoever else.
Yes, sir.
But we don't think in terms like that,
Yes, sir.
and that's where we fall short. It's not that, we don't know, it's that we don't want to do it because we're cheap.
Right.
We want to have that name for ourselves right now. What's walking around with the big, like I said, the gold chains, the Mercedes and stuff like that. We're not thinking about our kids down the line.
I'm gonna ask a quick question that I had just to let you go. I said, what is the difference between a rich man and a poor man? Anyone knows the
Yes,
difference?
I mean, rich, you got money. You may have money now. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Wealth got going on for generations and generations and generations. I mean, that's what's going on with the property that we were picking cotton on a long time ago. They have that property still, and they bequeathing it to their kids, and that's wealth down the line.
Right. So you hit on a point. So the definition, they said there's 2 main definitions. A poor person buys stuff that has no substantial value, no return on investment. Rich people will only buy things that return on investment. So they will buy, let's say, an ATM machine, which I didn't know you could just buy one and put on places.
Right.
They will buy a soda machine
Right.
for $6,000.
Right.
They will do things like that they know they will get some type of return on investment. And they constantly buying different things that return on investment. A poor person will say, they'll get $6,000, let's say tax return, go on vacation.
Right.
Someone else will say, hey, you know what? Like again, I'm gonna just stick with this candy machine. Hey, let's go get another candy machine and stick it in Walmart. And so they're constantly getting money from different revenues, and the whole idea is if you're not going to make money off of it, then it's a waste of buying it.
I agree.
That's right. I agree.
And again, it comes back to how you think, because you said a good example earlier. We said those 401k plans. I'm 100% guilty. It's like Spanish to me. I don't know what I'm looking at, and I know that it should not be that way. The example you just gave about the candy machine, the example you gave about getting your tax returns. You know why we do that? Because in our minds, we don't have that confidence to say, if I take this $6 grand, I'm gonna make another $6 grand. So the mentality is like, what the hell with it? Just spend it now, because I'm not going to be able to do that. So until you start to actually see it, it's a combination. I'm training myself and I'm seeing the results. In a sports analogy, if you're throwing a punch at a guy and you keep missing, I'm not throwing this punch no more because I might as well just cover up because if you see I'm getting him, I see Marky look like he's wearing down. I'm gonna come at him hard now because I see the results. But we have to keep going and understand that the results will be there. Those stocks and bonds that you're talking about, for us, when we see the 401 curve, we say, oh wow, I made $2. That's going to be good.
I made $10,000 when you could take it somewhere else and look at the same 30-day return and say, hey, guess what? I just made $30,000 in 1 month. That's right. And that's why we get locked into 401ks, because the money in the 401ks is great, but what it's doing, companies are using that interest to build other wealth.
That's right.
But you're supposed to be like, oh, let me see how IBM is doing. Let me see how Sony's doing. Let me see how the companies I recognize, not these international foreign names that we're investing in, have no idea who they are.
Right.
And then we say, oh, I had a 401k. I made $100,000 in 50 years.
Right, and you're happy with it. You're happy
so
with
I make that.
Right. And we're happy with it because we don't understand. If you really saw, if somebody really showed you, like, let me show you what the type of money I get in 2 days, and you see that you can do that, trust me, when somebody gives you information, then you're gonna really be like, let me listen to what this dude is saying. But when you don't understand, like, I can really do that, I can really get a check, and that's really mine, and you really take that in and that you believe that in here, not just somebody telling you, trust me, that's when the information is going to stick. Real quick, I heard something I always listen to stuff as I'm coming over here. And I was listening to an interview today, and the guy said, I sometimes listen to drug dealers, not because I'm fascinated by that, but these are guys that were making money. And they experience a lot of things. If you listen to some of the things that they're saying, it's very powerful. He was saying that at one point, MTV, back in the 80s, was like, listen, forget about all that grunge stuff. We're going hard with rap music, marijuana, because one thing they understood is that we buy stuff. We spend, we got money. The Michael Jordan era is huge because what they saw was like, yo, there's this brother that's making sneakers, and no matter how much money we charge for these sneakers, they buying it. You look at that grunge era, no disrespect to them, but those white guys, they would wear the same jeans for 6 years. They wore those Van sneakers, the holes in the bottom. You ain't making no money off these guys because they not buying nothing. But us, you got Jordans. I could throw out a pair of Jordan sweatpants. These guys is buying for $250. Forget about the grunge stuff. Throw that rap stuff on here because they're buying it. And we're giving the money to the wrong people because the money is there. But we just don't have the mentality to understand or the confidence to understand we can do it ourselves. When we do that, trust me, these classes like we saw in there is going to stick. But a lot of us going to sit there like, oh, that's cool. But when you leave there, 3 days later.
But I also think, I don't want to make it a race issue. But I have to bring that into play because what I have seen too is that the knowledge is there, the information is there, but it's not being shared intentionally with the Black community. So it's not being shared for that, you want to say, lack of compete. Because if you knew that we had a friend that he was a stockbroker, he was making, I think, about $50,000 a month. And he never left his house, but he knew how to work the stock market. And he's not the only one. But that information is not shared intentionally.
Absolutely.
And until we have to, and the beauty of it all, if you really think about it, I told my son, I said, you want to learn how to work out today, you go watch YouTube. You want to fix a car, anything you want to master today is online.
Yes, it is.
So technically it's really up to us to educate ourselves how to learn how to watch the stock, how to buy in the stock, how to invest in the stock, how to get into